Hello everyone, Mark here, without my better half. She's doing other things today, but she has rest assured me, and she wanted to just pass on the message that she wants to do some more videos with me, and so that'll be good fun. We've got a few ideas, things we'd like to talk about, so that's what we're going to do. But I just wanted to come on and it's a bit of a mixed bag really, just share a couple of things and really just put it out there. I've done some thinking today, and it sort of was timely with a couple of things that I saw on the internet, and thought I would just share it with the outside world, because that's the beauty of YouTube. You can put it out there and people can either like it or dislike it, or agree with you or not agree with you. I've noticed over the last few days, or maybe last week or so, we've all been debating the whole issue of the Russian ban and the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society's rights to human rights, and whether or not they supersede the rights of all of the victims that are very apparently out there. Now, this is to the outside world, but the word extremist is not something that many activists even use, let alone the outside world, when you relate it to the Watchtower Corporation. But I would strongly argue, and so would Cora, and many others actually, that we should start using the word extremism. High control grouping is something I used to use, but the longer this has gone on, and the more I've begun to understand the levels of depravity that have gone on within this organisation, I have to conclude that the only word that really sums it up is extremist. To call it anything else would be watering it down. One guy said, who's been put in print the other day, that Jehovah's Witnesses or ex-Jehovah's Witnesses have suffered stress and trauma. Oh boy, I believe those words are watering down exactly what many people have been through. Stress and trauma are just a prerequisite to belonging to Watchtower most of the time. No, this goes far deeper. This goes far deeper. This becomes entrenched in your soul, some of the things that we've all been through. And it gets in your blood, it gets in your psyche, it regulates how you think, how you view the world. This stuff goes deep for many of us. Of course, we're not the only ones. Those that have been involved in cults, that have survived cults, when you meet them, the types of characteristics and traits that they've been through within their own cults, when they start to share, are very attributable to the sort of things that we've all been through as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. But it stands to reason that the word extremism can easily be dovetailed into this particular pseudo-religion, this corporation. Today I read something from a very dear friend of ours, who we have nothing but the highest regard for, and we love her to bits. Her name's Riker. And today, 2 years ago, her ex-husband walked out of a Kingdom Hall and killed himself. Another suicide. Another sacrifice. Another statistic. He couldn't cope anymore. He hated being a Jehovah's Witness. Would he seek professional help with his depression? No. This was seen as interfering or a threat to his association with the organisation and with him upstairs. So no, he didn't go there. And sadly, this guy, at 32 years of age, passed away through suicide. I understand from Riker, this Max, his name was Max, was a brilliant carpenter. He was also a tree surgeon. And yet he was battling demons because of this organisation for a very long time and couldn't see a way out. And so he took his own life. That was the only way that he could see, the only option that was now left open to him. For Rika, this is 2 years on, she is dealing with this. I know lots of aspects around the funeral that took place and her not being invited. The pain goes so deep. And yes, she's moved on. She's a very strong woman. But like all of us, when we're faced with these memories, they cut deep. They go very, very deep. And they all go back to our time within the Watchtower Corporation. We're thinking of Eureka today, and we've sent her messages. The reason I mention it is his case unique? No. Sadly, no, it's not unique. There are many that have done this, and probably many more that will. If you ask most activists out there, or most ex-JWs, not activists or not activists, do you know someone that's committed suicide? They all, oh yes, I do. Yeah, yes I do know someone. It might be someone that's close to them, or it might be someone that they've heard of, but everybody knows somebody that's done this within this extremist grouping. Just one example. Cora's cousin. He was 32. Wasn't even baptized. Was brought up as one. He was very troubled too. Probably under a lot of pressure because he wasn't baptized in different ways. His family loved him. He was a wonderful man. A free spirit, but deeply troubled. The entrails of his suicide go right the way back to Watchtower. I mention these because all of us that know people that have done this, we have to look at these systemic reasons of why the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society generate such feelings in people that make them make these decisions that they have no choice other than to end their own lives. It's extremely serious. As activists, a lot of us want to highlight this to the world and make it very clear that this is what we're dealing with when we see and collect all of this data, this information all around the world. We want the outside world, from the press to the politicians, to all understand exactly how extreme this organisation has become, how callous it has become, how intransigent it has become. It damages people across the world in so many different faceted ways that when we all put our hands up and say, this is what happened to me, this is what happened to me, you build up a picture of an organisation that is rancidly operating in a way that is not charitable, even though they are a charitable organisation. I can remember when I was a child, I was 4 years old, approximately. I remember looking up at my dad in our living room as he came down the stairs, and he looked very distressed. And he collapsed on the floor in front of me. As a young boy, I was very shocked, and I went over and I tried to pick my dad up. He was a very big man, my dad. He was a bricklayer. I couldn't pick him up. Of course I couldn't. I was shouting to Mum. We got into an ambulance and straight to hospital. It turned out that my dad was suffering from a burst stomach ulcer. He was hemorrhaging blood, bleeding internally. He was in a very serious condition. The doctors were made aware very quickly that there were to be no blood transfusions, and we followed the company line all the way through. But my mum was deeply, deeply worried and upset at this stage. And this doctor came round the corner in his white coat, and I remember holding my mum's hand, looking up at this guy. And he said, "Mrs. Latham, unless your husband has a blood transfusion immediately, he's going to die. We need to transfuse right now." And my mum said, "No. No. My husband won't allow it, and neither will I." He said, "Well then, unfortunately, the prognosis for a survival of your husband is pretty much nil." And he put his head down, and I'll never ever forget it. He turned his back on Mum and he walked away. I can remember holding my mum's hand, trying to process as a 4-year-old child what was going on here. Looking at her, looking at him walking away. Where's my dad? Who's going to fix my dad? What do you mean he's going to die? I was experiencing this at 4 years old. My mum broke down, fell onto her knees in the middle of the corridor, wailing. I'll never forget that. The wail that was coming from her stomach. The hopelessness of the situation. That she was powerless to do anything about this. And I put my arms around my mum. It's a memory that's burnt into my psyche. My dad was going to die, and we were going to let it happen. Extremists? Yes. Oh yes. Fortunately, my dad, through some miracle, survived. He made it out of there. The doctors were baffled. We all put it down to him upstairs, looking after my dad for being faithful. But as the years went by, I always thought about, when I remember at senior school thinking and making comparisons, why did Jehovah look after my dad, but not look after other Jehovah's Witness children that have died, who remained faithful? I was totally confused by that, and it didn't make any sense, and I was very, very uncomfortable with that. Just another example. Extremism. How far will you go? We've all heard about the children and the parents that are willing to let their children die because they're hemorrhaging blood and they need that transfusion. We know it goes on. It's still going on today, regardless of all the surrounding red herrings of non-blood surgery. Yes, that's fantastic stuff, but the hemorrhaging of an individual and the immediate application of a blood transfusion is something they will not do, and so children are still dying. But quite often now the courts are so quick and savvy with this that the wards of court are made and the decision is taken out of the parents' hands, much to the relief of the parents. They don't want their children to die, but they are willing to let it happen. Extreme? Oh yes. That's how far they're willing to go. What about rape cases? Molestation, it's a big topic now. We're all aware of it. We've all seen what's going on there. 2 weeks ago, the Royal Commission, Australian Royal Commission, asked them outright, are you going to change your two-witness rule? No, they said. No, we're not. We're going to keep it. Because it's scriptural. And we're going to apply it to molestation and rape of children. Yes, we are. That's what they've said. No one else in the world is doing that, apart from them. So, these abuses that follow on as a result of that continue. And so you get these horrific stories of rape and molestation of children, and it being concealed, sometimes by organised groups. People that are hell-bent on making sure they can continue within the organisation and know how to abuse the system. And they work it very well. But as we go forward, there are more and more cases coming to court now which is showing the organisation up for what it really is. But it doesn't want to change. It's becoming intransigent. It has said no in a court of law, under review. They're not going to change the TWR, the two-witness rule. I have here from The Guardian, April 4th. Jehovah's Witnesses congregations' efforts to block inquiry squashed. And I quote from The Guardian newspaper. A Jehovah's Witnesses congregation in Manchester has lost a legal attempt to block an investigation into its handling of sexual abuse allegations, after failing to convince a judge that the inquiry amounted to religious discrimination. Organisations linked to the religion, interesting, have fought legally to prevent the Charity Commission from launching 2 inquiries into allegations that survivors of sexual abuse were being forced to face their attackers in so-called judicial committees. The organisation's efforts have been described by the Commission as unprecedented. Why are they unprecedented? Because no one else is doing that. They're the only ones that are. Extreme? Oh yes. The Charity Commission launched a statutory inquiry into the Manchester New Moston Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses in 2014 after reports surfaced that a convicted paedophile, Jonathan Rose, was brought face to face with survivors of his abuse in a judicial committee. After Rose served 9 months in prison for child sex offences, the New Moston Congregation held a meeting attended by senior members, Rose and 3 of his victims, now adults, to see if he would be disfellowshipped or expelled from the congregation, the judgment notes. This would have involved the elders of the charity, its trustees, and Mr. Rose interviewing his victims in an apparently intrusive way. So let me get this right. This guy has been convicted of these sexual offences against children. He's done 9 months in prison. He's come out. And the elders are deciding whether or not to disfellowship him. But before they can do that, they're interviewing him with the abuse victims in the same room. Question and answers. In an apparently intrusive way. We all know what that means when it comes to molestation and rape. Graphic details. Intrusive. So the abuse continues. And this is to decide whether or not he should be disfellowshipped. He's been found guilty in a court. But now, obviously, it's very clear he doesn't want to be disfellowshipped. So he's going to fight it by going through a judicial committee and putting these children through it. It's obvious. Extreme? Oh yes. This raised serious concerns at the Charity Commission, which oversees whether charity trustees are meeting their safeguarding responsibilities. Oh yeah. And the Commission has also launched a statutory inquiry into safeguarding the UK's main Jehovah's Witness charity, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Great Britain, which oversees the UK's 1,500 congregations and is believed to play a key role in deciding how claims of abuse are handled. Oh yes, they do. But you see, here we go. The press are now starting to highlight this, and the Guardian has been very good at doing this up to now. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society launched litigation, including an attempt to challenge in the Supreme Court the Commission's decision to start an investigation. They didn't want that investigation to take place. Now, any other charity would go, we welcome it. Please, we need this open. We need an open door. We need to find out what's going on here. We need it transparent. We need to sort this out. Not this lot. They fought it through the courts. Oh no, we don't want an investigation. Extreme? Charitable organisation doing this? The charity also fought in the lower courts against production orders that would oblige it to give the Commission access to records showing how it handled the allegations. Although in January it dropped its opposition to these requests. The Manchester New Moston congregation launched appeals at the first tier tribunal challenging the Charity Commission's decision to open a formal inquiry. Get this bit. Arguing, among other things, that the investigation interfered with the congregation's human rights and that the decision to launch the inquiry amounted to religious discrimination. The charity alleged the Commission had investigated safeguarding concerns at other charities without launching a full statutory inquiry. When the first appeal was dismissed, the congregation appealed to the upper tribunal. This was rejected on Tuesday at the upper tribunal and then of the Tax and Chancery Division at the Royal Courts of Justice in London. Mrs. Justice Asplin ruled the lower tribunal had been entitled to decide that there was no direct discrimination on the grounds of religion, the inquiry having been opened on the basis of unusual and distinctive factual reasons, and that there were no other comparable cases from which to infer discrimination on the grounds of religious beliefs. That's because there are no other comparable cases. They're the only ones doing this. Extreme? Yes, they are. The Charity Commission's head of litigation, Chris Willis, Pickup, said, "We regret that public and charity funds have been used on this protracted litigation, but we will continue to defend robustly our legitimate role in investigating serious concerns about charities. We hope and expect that this judgment concludes the litigation on this matter and allows us and the charity to focus our efforts on concluding the Commission's inquiry." You see, the Charity Commission itself was upset that this charity, the Watchtower, was using its money to go through the High Court. This would have cost a lot of money. They were bemused by that over something concerning child abuse. Surely you'd want to follow through with cooperation of the superior authorities, as it says in Romans chapter 13. Wouldn't you, Watchtower? But no, not this lot. Why? Because they're extreme. That's come out today. So there we go. I go back to the organics of all of this. As ex-witnesses, a lot of us keep up to date with all of the information that's out there. But you know what? A lot of it still hurts. Our memories still hurt. We get hurt when we see our friends going through the mill, still fighting depression in a lot of cases. Still fighting those dysfunctional attributes that all of us have got in order to lead normal, basic lives now. And it's only when we actually recover and get out there and read and read and read and find out exactly what we've been involved in that we can start to truly recover. That and good therapy if you can find it, and also good friends that understand you, and you don't have to go through a long mileage of energy to explain exactly why you're feeling a certain way that day. It's vital to be able to talk about these things, share these things, to keep it up and to keep it out in the open. Just like Riker has today done that very same thing. Because it's useful. It lets the world know exactly what's going on, but at the same time it allows us to embrace her, someone like Riker, and tell her that she's loved. And that this Watchtower Bible and Tract Society will not win. There are many, many millions of human beings caught up in this extremist grouping. Many of them miserable. Many of them don't understand why they're even involved in it, but they are. And so they just keep going through the daily drone. Many of them start waking up when something has happened to them that's extreme within the corporation. When they see the hard hand come down on them for whatever reason. But against their human rights. To investigate kids that have been molested or raped by the perpetrator. And that's why Cora and I and many others have a great difficulty understanding why people still think that human rights are far more important to be upheld with an extremist grouping like this when they are continuing their journey to victimize and abuse so many people, in particular children. There's a lot of support out there for people. I even wrote some stuff down just very quickly. If you're suffering from shunning, or if you've been through a terrible sexual experience of molestation or rape, or psychological abuse, worthlessness, suicides, alcoholism, drug dependency, concentration issues, depression, and there are many, many more. If you are an ex-witness, or you're a witness, and you're suffering from these things, don't hide it. Please don't hide it. You're not alone. There are many, many of us out here now. Thousands and thousands of us. And it's important that you understand that you can receive a great deal of help. There is professional help that's out there. There are networking sites and friendships that you can build up. People that will understand and want to work. There are lots of people out there that don't want to help you. They just want to put the information out there, but they don't really want to help and actually get down to working with people, sharing and becoming friends. None of us out here, well, I would say none of us, there are some trained counsellors and therapists. The vast majority of us that want to help aren't trained professionals. But what we do have is friendship and experience and coming to terms with those things. And if we have the time, unfortunately there are so many people coming through to us and to others as well. It's a good news really that it's happening, but there is a need for more people to come forward and help out. No matter how small you think you can only do a small bit, it doesn't matter. The more you share on Facebook pages, the internet sites, web pages, writing books, whatever it is, if you can do something, even if you think it's small, it's not small. It might help someone somewhere. And trust me, it happens everywhere. And it's fantastic when you can reach out and somebody's saying, thank you, I really needed that. Thank you for that. Because we're dealing with an extremist grouping. I don't give a crap about their human rights as an organisation. Not when they're doing the things that they're doing to everybody else. They don't supersede the human rights of the people that faithfully follow them. They're the ones that are in terrible trouble here. So it's important that we're all in a position to focus on them, but also poison the well, more importantly, and stop others from joining it, because it's extreme. There's no need for it. It's ridiculous. In this day and age, these things are still going on. I don't want others to have the same memories I had as a child, of growing up thinking that God was going to kill me at Armageddon, and knowing that my dad was about to die. I really don't. Children don't need to see that. Unfortunately, children are seeing some terrible things in the parts of the world. But this is one minutiae area of a cult, an extreme grouping, where we can do something about it and speak up. So that's what we're doing. You've probably heard enough of me going on now. But to Riker, and people like Riker that have gone through losing someone, our hearts go out to you, and they always will. And you know it's genuine. We give you a big cyber hug, and when we see you next, it'll be even a bigger hug. I can assure you of that. So we love you very much. So keep up the fight, everybody. Anybody comes to you with the words extremist? No, they're not extremists. How can you call them extremists? I think you've got an answer for them, no matter which way you look at this. But thank you for listening. It's just a ramble today, but I wanted to share it. It's important. And the important, most positive thing from all of this is that the outside world are now starting to look at this. The journalists are starting to look at this and starting to see far more than this corporation wants them to see. Hence them fighting it through the courts. They want to keep it suppressed. But it's not working. And a lot of that is down to their hard work and the survivors speaking up and going through the courts. So a fantastic well done to everybody that's done that. Okay, until next time, thanks for listening. Keep up the fight. Watchtower will not win. Bye for now.